That man's feet were so huge that people who saw him felt as if his feet were almost 30 feet long. The villagers did not consider him a human, they thought of him as a monster. They mocked him and eventually drove him out of the village. But one day his giant feet felt vibrations deep inside the earth. He realized that a massive earthquake was about to happen. Leaving all his work behind, he ran toward the village with all his strength. When he reached the village, he shouted, "Everyone leave the village right now. A huge earthquake is coming." But no one believed him. The villagers thought he had gone crazy. However, there was a little girl named Chow who lived in that village. She was his only friend, and Lee could not leave her there to die under any circumstances. The villagers surrounded him with sticks and started moving toward him. Panicking, Lee entered a house, picked up the little girl and ran out of the village with her. Seeing him run away, all the villagers chased after him. Lee kept running and finally reached an open field far away from the village. But the villagers misunderstood the situation and thought that he was kidnapping the girl. In anger, they started beating Lee brutally. Eventually, Lee lost his life. At that exact moment, the ground began shaking violently. A terrifying earthquake struck the village. The houses started collapsing one by one. Only then did the villagers realize that Lee had been telling the truth. He had sacrificed his own life to save the entire village. Filled with regret, the villagers built a temple-like memorial in his honor and started worshipping him every day. As time passed, people's respect and faith in Lee grew so much that his story eventually reached the Queen Mother of the West, the ruler of the heavens. She saw that Lee had answered hatred with kindness and sacrificed his life to protect others. Deeply moved by his greatness, she granted Lee immortality and gave him the title of the Barefoot Immortal. In heaven, all the gods were celebrating a grand festival where everything was filled with happiness and joy. Suddenly, a god arrived who never wore anything on his feet. Seeing him, the other gods did not feel comfortable because they thought his appearance would ruin the atmosphere of the celebration. However, the Queen of Heaven did not judge him like the others. Instead, she warmly welcomed him and called him by the name Lee. After all the guests had arrived, the queen began reading a poem she had written for everyone, but suddenly a powerful demon attacked the celebration and destroyed the peaceful atmosphere. All the gods immediately stepped forward to protect the queen, but they soon realized that their powers were useless against this demon. The demon had actually come with the intention of proving that he possessed the greatest strength and that he deserved the right to live in heaven. However, before anyone could stop him, Lee attacked the demon directly with his weapon called Rue, striking him in the face and making him fall to the ground instantly. Seeing this, the queen revealed that the entire attack was actually a test created by her. She wanted to find out who among them could use both their strength and intelligence when facing a difficult situation. The queen praised Lee because while everyone else panicked, he stayed calm, continued fighting, and defeated the demon with determination. Impressed by his actions, the queen happily gave Lee a special gift, and the celebration continued once again. But after the event ended and everyone began leaving, Lee suddenly felt something strange. Thinking another attack might happen, he took out his weapon Rue so he could protect himself, but because of his carelessness, Rue slipped from his hand and fell all the way down to earth. Lee became extremely worried after seeing this because according to the laws of heaven, no god was allowed to travel to Earth. He knew that breaking this rule could bring a terrible punishment, but he still decided to go down because he needed to recover his precious weapon. After reaching Earth, Lee met a girl named Pian who was trapped on a tree branch. Lee helped her get down safely and then introduced himself. He explained that he was a god from heaven and that his divine weapon had accidentally fallen onto Earth. Pian decided to take him to the leader of her village so that he could help Lee recover his weapon. But when they arrived at the village, suddenly a group of demons attacked because they wanted to steal the village's most valuable treasure. This treasure was actually a mysterious magical object. Without hesitation, Lee stepped forward and fought against all the demons with his full strength. He defeated a dangerous spider demon by trapping it inside its own webs, and after that, he faced another extremely powerful demon whose horrible smell alone was enough to make even strong warriors collapse. After witnessing Lee's incredible power, the villagers welcomed him with respect, and the village leader organized a special celebration in his honor. During the feast, Lee asked about their treasure, and the leader explained that a few months earlier, a golden light had fallen from the sky directly onto a mountain. After that mysterious event, peace spread throughout the village, and everyone decided to protect the object together. The treasure was hidden inside a cave at the top of the mountain, where the villagers had placed many dangerous traps so that no demon could ever steal it. Hearing this, Lee immediately understood that the treasure they were protecting was actually his divine weapon Rue. He told the leader that the object belonged to him and that he had only come to Earth to take it back. Everyone was shocked after hearing the truth, but the leader calmly replied, "Brother, if it truly belongs to you then you will get it back." However, the truth was completely different. The leader had no intention of returning the treasure. Instead, he suddenly captured Lee and chained him. Lee tried to escape, but the villagers gave him a special type of alcohol that weakened the powers of both gods and demons. After that, the villagers prepared a ritual to summon lightning and use it against Lee. But suddenly, fire came falling from the sky, causing many houses in the village to catch fire. Everyone immediately rushed to control the flames. Taking advantage of the situation, Pian secretly came to Lee and told him that if he protected her village from the demons, she would help him find his lost treasure. Lee immediately agreed and Pian removed his chains. After becoming free, both of them started their journey toward the mountain where Rue was hidden. Some villagers followed them, but when they saw Lee walking toward the dangerous mountain path, they became excited because they believed that no one had ever survived the traps placed there. When Lee reached the mountain, he used his powers to sense the hidden traps around him. But suddenly, his foot became trapped inside a swamp. Since both Lee and Pian were exhausted, they decided to rest near a river. During their rest, Pian asked Lee why he never wore shoes. Lee then revealed the story of his past. But even after becoming a god, Lee still chose not to wear shoes because he had become comfortable living barefoot and accepted himself the way he was. After hearing Lee's past story, Pian finally reached the cave with him where countless dangerous traps had been placed to protect the treasure. With the help of Lee's divine powers, they easily avoided all the hidden traps and continued moving forward until they reached a large bridge, where the treasure was believed to be hidden at the other end. However, the moment Lee stepped onto the bridge, a powerful force suddenly pushed him backward. He quickly realized that the bridge was protected by magical bells attached all around it, and because of their power, neither gods nor demons could cross it. Seeing Lee unable to move forward, Pian decided to take the risk herself and stepped onto the dangerous bridge. She carefully removed each magical bell one by one so Lee could pass, but while doing so, her foot suddenly slipped and she almost fell from the bridge. Despite the danger, Pian gathered her courage and managed to climb back up. After Pian cleared the path, Lee finally crossed the bridge without any difficulty, and together they continued deeper into the cave. Soon they discovered a mysterious object glowing with a bright golden light. Looking at the light, Lee became certain that he had finally found his lost weapon Rue. But when the golden glow disappeared, Lee's excitement turned into confusion because instead of Rue, they found a golden egg. At that exact moment, several demons appeared because they were also searching for Lee's weapon. Since the egg was useless to Lee and he believed it was not what he was looking for, he handed it over to the demons who happily took it and left. Seeing this, Pian became furious because the golden egg was actually the most precious treasure of her entire village. She begged Lee to help her bring the treasure back and place it safely inside the cave, but Lee ignored her request because he was only focused on finding Rue. Without thinking about Pian's feelings, he left her alone and continued his journey. The next day, when Lee returned to the villagers immediately surrounded and captured him. The village leader once again started preparing a ritual to summon lightning and punish him. As the ritual began, powerful lightning struck Lee repeatedly, but because he was immortal, the attacks could not harm him at all. Not even a single injury appeared on his body, and after witnessing this miracle, all the villagers finally realized that Lee was truly a god. They immediately bowed before him with respect. However, an old woman from the village stepped forward and said that Lee did not deserve their respect because he had abandoned Pian and left her behind while she was fighting the demons alone, all because he was only interested in getting his weapon back. Hearing those words, Lee finally understood his mistake. He realized that Pian had stayed on the mountain by herself and risked her life just to recover the treasure that belonged to the village. Meanwhile, the demons who had taken the golden egg were also confused because they did not know what was inside it. After some discussion, they ordered a chicken demon to sit on the egg so that whatever was hidden inside could finally hatch. At the same time, Pian disguised herself as a cat demon and secretly entered their hideout. Using her intelligence, she managed to fool the demons and successfully took the golden egg away. But while escaping, the demons discovered that Pian was not a demon at all but actually a human. They immediately surrounded her and prepared to kill her for stealing their treasure. Just when Pian was about to lose her life, Lee arrived at the perfect moment. He attacked the demons with his full power and defeated them one after another, saving Pian from danger. After defeating the demons, Lee and Pian returned to the village with the golden egg. Seeing their lost treasure returned safely, all the villagers became extremely happy. They then prepared a special ritual to open the mysterious egg and discover what was hidden inside. But the moment the egg cracked open, a powerful demon named King Nia emerged from it. Lee immediately recognized him as the same demon he had defeated during the celebration in heaven. Nia explained that he was once the only demon allowed to live in heaven, but the other gods always treated him badly and looked down on him. During the celebration when he attacked the gods, he believed that all of them were the same, which was why he also attacked Lee without understanding who he truly was. However, Lee had defeated him using Rue, causing Nia to fall from heaven and transform into the golden egg that the villagers later discovered. The villagers had believed that this egg was a blessing that protected their village, so they carefully preserved it for months. But now that Nia had returned, he immediately turned against them and began destroying the village. Lee stood up and tried to stop him, but after coming to Earth, his divine powers had become much weaker compared to when he was in heaven. Nia easily overpowered him and was about to deliver the final attack. But at the last moment, Pian stepped between them and took the attack herself to protect Lee. Lee was shocked because he could not understand why Pian was willing to sacrifice her own life for him. While Pian was lying injured, Lee noticed a mysterious Rue symbol appearing on her forehead. At that moment, Lee finally discovered the truth. Pian herself was actually the true form of his weapon Rue, the weapon he had been searching for all this time. The reason behind this was connected to Lee's past life. After Lee died as a human, Chao eventually grew older, but her illness became more serious and she sadly passed away. Throughout her life, Chao continued praying to the gods with complete devotion. Because of her kindness and faith, the Queen of Heaven appeared before her and asked what she wished to become in her next life. Chao simply replied that she did not care what form she took as long as she could stay beside Lee forever. However, Lee had already become a god, so the Queen transformed Chao into Lee's most powerful divine weapon, Rue, allowing them to reunite again in another form. Finally, Pian transformed back into Rue, giving Lee the power he needed to fight Nia. A massive battle began between Lee and Nia, and after a fierce struggle, Lee used Rue's power and finally defeated the demon. Soon after the battle ended, the Queen of Heaven arrived with the other gods. Since Lee had broken the rules and come to Earth without permission, the Queen was prepared to punish him. Lee accepted his mistake and was ready to receive whatever punishment awaited him, but then all the villagers stepped forward and bowed before the Queen. They requested her to forgive Lee because he had protected their village and saved them from the demons. After hearing the villagers' words, the Queen finally decided to forgive Lee. However, when she was about to punish Nia for his actions, Lee stepped forward and requested her to forgive him as well. He asked the Queen to give Nia another chance so that he could correct his mistakes and change himself. Moved by Lee's kindness, the Queen forgave Nia too, and for the first time, Nia felt relieved instead of anger. In the end, Lee decided to stay in the village for some more time so that he could protect the people and make sure that no demon would ever threaten them again.